speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig with you. Thank you so much for tuning in on this wonderful Thursday. We have a great show for you. Not only are we going to recap the action from last night, preview tonight's action, but we also have Kate Solly on 1:30 from Canfield Girls Basketball, one of their senior leaders. Going to talk with her at 1:30. They're coming off a big win last night over Howland, 57-48. And we'll start there. Why not? It's a perfect segue into recapping last night's action. Canfield avenges last year's tournament loss to Howland with a win at the Tigers' Den, and 57-48 was the final score. You look at it, Canfield had 26 first quarter points. It was really a way for the Cardinals to set the tone. They came in, their first 12 points were all from behind the arc. They did a great job shooting from the perimeter, which is what they always do. When Canfield is succeeding, when they're winning and they're doing their thing, they are shooting well from behind the arc. They're a perimeter shooting team. I would argue probably the best three-point shooting team that we have in the YSN family. Louisville might have something to say about that because they have some deadly shooters on their end too. I would love to see Louisville go up against Canfield in the battle of three-point shooters. But if you dove into the numbers and you looked at three-point percentage and maybe what team has more players that shoot most threes, it might be Canfield, it might be Louisville, it might be some other team, who knows? But I think I would put stake that it would be Canfield. But they opened the game with 12 straight points from behind the arc. They ended up hitting 10 3-pointers last night overall in Howland. And even though Howland and Alyssa Masucci had a Herculean effort to try to get back in the game, she finished with 26 points, which was a game high. They just could never get all the way back into it. Canfield would come up with some clutch threes or some clutch shots. They took 26-13 after the first quarter. Howland cut it to, I think, a 7-point halftime lead, 37-30. But the Tigers, once you're down by 13 against a team that can shoot like that, and they're on, it's tough to claw your way back into it. Canfield wasn't missing their shots, that's for sure. Abby Muckleroy led them with 16 points, and she continues her dominant senior season. But what I like about Canfield is it's not just Abby Muckleroy. Treveri had a good game. Kate Solly had a good game. There are so many players that can really score in bunches for that Canfield team. Abby Muckleroy's been leading them most of the games. But the crazy thing about Canfield is they can have a game like when they played Poland a couple weeks ago, actually last week. But they can have a game like Poland where they have Carly Harmon score 24, who is not one of their statistical leaders, but capable of doing it. So when you have players that aren't even your, ones that you lean on most of the nights that can prove they can come up and have a big game, that just makes defenses even extra nervous to play you because they can lock down Abby Muckleroy, they can lock down Kate Solly, and then all of a sudden, what do you mean Carly Harmon can go off for 24? What do you mean Treveri can have a good game and go off for 18 or 20? I mean, you can't stop everybody. Most teams' defenses don't have 5 lockdown defenders that can all match up with everybody on Canfield's roster. That's what makes them so hard, so hard to beat. Now, you look at one team that can and did, Salem, of course. Salem plays probably one of the best defensive schemes in the state. That's why Canfield was able to slow down Canfield a little bit. But other than that, I don't think there are any teams on Canfield's schedule that can lock them down 5-on-5 when Canfield is on. Now, that is a very big if, because teams aren't always on. They're not always going to shoot the ball well. It's not like every game they're going to have all 5 of those players be on and be able to score in bunches. But if they're locked in and it's one of those nights, defenses are going to have a really hard time guarding it. And then you look at Canfield as well. Martin RPI, which is a great website to utilize when judging basketball, and it has the computer rankings, it's kind of like Joe Itel for football, but it's for girls and boys basketball. They have the strength of schedule in the whole state of Ohio for all 4 divisions on their website up to this point. And Canfield, up to this point, like up to Wednesday, when you look at their strength of schedule in Division 2, it is the 3rd hardest schedule in the state of Ohio, which is pretty impressive. That's why I think a lot of people have so much respect for the Cardinals, because they have that tough schedule. They have that one of the toughest schedules in the state, and the computer backs it up. It's not like it's not objective. I said it is objective. It's not subjective. It's not like I'm just guessing that they have a hard schedule, or it's my opinion. It's like it's backed up by the computer points that Martin RPI puts together. 3rd hardest schedule in the state of Ohio, and they're a 1-loss team. What do you say to that, right? They're just having a great year. They're putting together something really good. They're so happy that they're finally in Division 2. They've been the smallest Division 1 team in the state of Ohio for quite some time. And now here they are, one of the bigger Division 2 teams. And they still have that Division 1 schedule that they had last year that they put together to prepare them for the Division 1 tournament. I think that's why their schedule is so beefy, is because they made all these deals with these teams trying to really sharpen their tools for a Division 1 bracket. And now all of a sudden that schedule that's getting them ready for a Division 1 bracket is getting them ready for a Division 2 bracket. So it's going to be fun. Canfield, definitely one of the best teams. There's a reason why they're number 1 in the power rankings, and that's why I'm putting a lot of stake in the Cardinals right now, not just because of their talent or their players or their roster or even their coaching staff, which is phenomenal as well. Coach Reel has been doing it for a long time. He knows what he's doing. But their strength of schedule, the fact that they've gone through, like I said, the 3rd hardest schedule in the state of Ohio, and they're a 1-loss team, that's saying something. They will travel to Cheney on Saturday. It'll be their first non-conference game since December 28th, when they played Poland. And then they'll get back to conference play a week from yesterday against Boardman, which is a game that we're all looking forward to. Both teams are undefeated in the AAC. That one's for first place in the league. First time they've played each other. We see Boardman, consistently getting better. It's going to be fun to watch those teams match up. And as that matchup gets closer and closer, we'll talk about it more and more on what to expect out of Boardman versus Canfield. With that being said, let's go over the rest of the scores from last night. It was a slower night, like most Wednesdays are. Not as many games as your Mondays and Thursdays and Tuesdays and Fridays, but still a sizable amount of interesting finals that came through. We will start in Salem, as they were able to bounce back, get back to conference play. 67-18, they beat Minerva, and they are smooth sailing in the EBC. They're trying to keep pace with Marlington, who, by the way, got the win over West Branch last night in round 2 of that matchup, 48-34. And when you look at that, you're thinking, okay, 14-point game, Marlington dominated, it's okay. But we got some inside information, because this game was at Marlington, but our own Aaron Mosher was able to tell us that West Branch led for a lot of that game, but then in the 4th quarter, Marlington's defense turned on another switch and held West Branch scoreless in the 4th quarter, and that's how they were able to bounce and really make that kind of a lopsided score. But when you look at West Branch and you talk about the Warriors and how interesting they'll be in the second half of the season, as we push past the rest of the month of January into February, Sophia Gregory is healthy. That's all you need to know, right? That team is very different with her on the floor because that's someone that garners a lot of attention from defenses, and it opens up things for their other players. We saw them. Boardman was her first full game back. She played a little bit in the game against Minerva before they went and played Boardman. So it wasn't her first game back against the Spartans, but it was her first like full rep, like we're gonna go hard, we're gonna let Sophia play a lot of minutes kind of game against Boardman. And because of the fact that Boardman had to put a little bit more attention to her, Hannah Eglai got open and she hit a couple of really big threes. And Chloe Dennison had some space. And they had McKaylin Fitz with those little mid-range jumpers that were a little bit easier to get. Everything gets easier for their supplementary players when Sophia Gregory is on the court. And then, of course, Gregory still got 15 points for them against Boardman. So she adds a scoring threat, but I think what she adds the most is the fact that you have to lock onto her because she's so big and she's so good with the ball. You have to spend a lot of defensive energy trying to slow her down. And they have good players that can benefit from, one-on-one matchups. And maybe without her, maybe you see, Hannah Eglai get a little bit more on ball defense. And you see Chloe Dennison guarded against her drive a little bit more. Defenses can really adjust to the other players better without Sophia Gregory on the floor. So having her healthy is a big, big plus for West Branch. And they played really well against Marlington for 3 quarters. It was just that last one where the Dukes said, "Nuh-uh, not this year. You're not splitting with us this year. We're taking it." They wanted revenge on West Branch. Last year, the Warriors won 2 out of 3, including knocking them out of the tournament. So Marlington was a little bit motivated to get this win. And even though they trailed for most of the game last night until that fourth quarter, I think you knew there was probably some kind of conversation in that Marlington huddle going from the third quarter to the fourth quarter that said, "Not this year. We're not doing this. We're not messing around." And they came out of that fourth quarter and they just locked it down, didn't let West Branch score a point. So Marlington gets to win their second win of the year against West Branch, and they are still undefeated in the EBC. So still in first place. That's why Salem is working so hard to try to keep pace with them. I think the big win was against Alliance the other week. So, Alliance is going to be one of those teams Salem has to watch out for as someone that can throw a monkey wrench into that. And then I think I'm pretty sure they'll play West Branch before they play Marlington again. So I'd have to look at the schedule to confirm. But if that's the case, that's definitely a team that could throw a monkey wrench into it, trying to keep pace with Marlington. But I think the Quakers are really hoping that they can get into that matchup with the Dukes with that one-loss EBC record, so they can finally get that Dukes monkey off their back, tie things up in the EBC, and make things really interesting. And I think they can do it. I think when you watch the games, Salem versus Marlington, especially the last 3 or 4 years, and especially last year to this year, I should say, is it true that Marlington is just a hard matchup for Salem, just the matchup of X's and O's basketball? I think so. I think there's something to be said about matchups. I think that's why you saw Canfield beat Marlington, but Marlington beat Salem and Salem beats Canfield. I think matchups are really important, and I think there's that factor of Marlington that matches up a little bit better with Salem. I think they can handle the on-ball defense. They can drive past the guards. Chelsea Evanich adds a little bit of an extra little adjustment, and I think when you look at Marlington, what they really do good, and one of the things that they do better than anybody else in the EBC that Salem has to play, is their guards are really good at passing. Like their assist numbers are high, so they make really good passes, which is hard for a defense to force turnovers. Salem loves to force those turnovers and get those live ball transition buckets. And when your opponent is just so crisp with their passes and they make the smart plays, they have 1,000 career assists in Warner. So Marlington's up for the task, and they take care of the basketball. They don't really make those silly passes that Salem feeds off of, that Salem really forces. I should say Salem forces a lot of really good teams to make a lot of silly mistakes because of their defensive pressure. And it seems like when they play Marlington, that just doesn't happen as much. Which is key. And then Marlington's defense on the other end, they're good at guarding against the drive. They're going to make Salem have to hit a lot of perimeter shots to beat Marlington. I think Salem will have to hit, they're going to have the effort like they had against West Branch, honestly, in the second game last year. Do you remember that game in Salem last year, West Branch versus Salem, where I think West Branch had a perfect game plan for the scouting report of Salem? Everything that Salem did well last year up to that point was saying, take away their driving ability and stop them from getting points in the paint. And West Branch really did that well. The bad news for West Branch was Salem hit 10 threes. And what can you do when they score 33 points from behind the arc? 30 points from behind the arc. What can you do with that, right? What can you do with that? So I think, despite the fact that West Branch had a really good game plan and executed a really good defense, Salem shot out of their scouting report a little bit. And I think Marlington makes Salem have to shoot, and you're going to have to shoot the three really well to beat the Dukes the next time around, which they can. They've proven they can. They're a good shooting team. Especially this year, there's that added bonus for Salem because Abby Davidson is 100% healthy. I think that second matchup with Marlington, I really think it's going to go differently. I have this sneaky feeling that Salem's kind of sick of being pushed around a little bit by the Dukes, and even though it's going to be, it's going to be on the road. It's going to be in a tough environment. I got this feeling that this is going to be the time for Salem to do it. If not now, then maybe in the tournament, because they're in the same division, and we saw West Branch beat Marlington out of the tournament last year. So maybe this year we'll see Salem, if they can't get it off their back in the regular season, maybe they decide to try to do it in the postseason. But here's an interesting thing: when we talk about the tournament, Salem will probably have the option of Marlington and Canfield if things trend the way they're trending. They'll probably be the top two seeds in Division 2, and then you go, okay, does Salem pick the team they've beaten and the team their seniors haven't lost to in Canfield? Do they test that again, or do they try to play the team that they're pretty familiar with? They play a lot, and hypothetically, if that were to happen and Marlington were to win the regular season matchup round 2, do they go up against a team that consistently has their number and they want to beat, or do they go up against a team that do you test those waters against Canfield? That'll be an interesting decision if it all shakes out that way. If Salem beats Marlington, they might be the 2 seed and Marlington might be the 1 that has to make that decision. Do we go and play a Canfield team that already beat us this year, or do we play the Salem team that, hypothetically, again, if Salem wins that regular season matchup, do we play that team that we've won 5 out of the last 6 against, and they beat us once? Like, what decision do we make with that? It'll be interesting. That's what makes tournament time really, really fun, and that's why I like these super districts, because it lets coaches make those strategic decisions. Another big score from last night, I should say a big team that is making big waves. Edgewood gets to win over Geneva 62-29. Edgewood is now 10-1 on the season, but they have a really big matchup coming up on Saturday in Edgewood against Chagrin Falls. Chagrin Falls coming in at 12-1. They're a really good basketball team. They pose a lot of threats, and it might be the toughest test on Edgewood's schedule, to be honest with you. I know they have Perry the next Saturday, and Perry's a really good team as well, and they actually beat Edgewood. They're their only loss on the season. So the second matchup with Perry will also be hard for the Warriors, but this one, Chagrin Falls is just a different animal. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Warriors match up with Chagrin Falls this weekend, because remember we were talking about Martin RPI with Canfield back at the beginning of the show. Edgewood is on the other end of the spectrum. According to Martin RPI, strength of schedule is not Edgewood's greatest attribute this year. They're 191st in the state of Ohio in their division when you talk about strength of schedule. But what they do have is they have I want to make sure this number's right. I think it was 10th. I think they have the 10th best scoring offense in the state of Ohio. They have been scoring at a very high clip. They're a great offensive team. And even when Perry beat them, they were still able to score a lot of points. I'll get that number for you as we keep talking. Maybe during the commercial break, I'll get it. But they do have a really good offense. And last night, it was Katie McAllister that had a career-high 27 points to lead Edgewood. That's a good sign for the Warriors, because honestly, every time we get the stats from them, it's usually Casey Kanicki leads the way. Casey Kanicki leads the way. And no knock to that, because Casey Kanicki is a straight-up baller, a superstar. We've already had her on the big dogs nominee list, and we've had a player profile with her. But the same person leading you every night, you want some balance, right? So the fact that they're getting someone like Katie McAllister really having a lot of confidence and scoring 27 points is a career high might be a big step forward for Edgewood. They're going to need balanced scoring to beat Chagrin Falls on Saturday, but they're 10-1. They're going to be a team that we have to keep an eye on. They're in our power rankings for a reason. And I think if they beat Chagrin Falls, then that'll definitely open my eyes and say, okay, they really belong in this top 10. Because right now, it's one of those ones where you're giving them credit for winning all these games, but you can't ignore the strength of schedule a little bit. Like, okay, but they're playing teams they should beat, and they're winning, and they're winning by a lot. So you're not knocking them for that because they're taking care of business. And I don't want to knock teams for doing that because to an extent, you can't control how good or bad your conference is or how much you stack up against your conference. But now you have the chance to go and play at Chagrin Falls. And then the next Saturday, you have a chance to go play against Perry. So the next 2 weeks we're going to figure a lot out about this Edgewood team and whether or not they really deserve to be a top 10 power ranked team. I'm excited because I think they can do it. And I think they can beat Chagrin Falls, and I think they can beat Perry. I'm excited to see what the Edgewood Warriors can do with those two matchups. Saturday at Edgewood, the next game, it'll be Chagrin Falls at 1:30 for the Warriors. If you haven't been down to Ashtabula County, maybe you think about going down there and seeing that matchup. I know if I wasn't doing a game already, I would be down there in a heartbeat because that's going to be two one-loss teams going at it. 12-1 Chagrin Falls and 10-1 Edgewood. Should be fun. Other scores from last night as well. Mineral Ridge, a little bit of a big win for the Rams. They've been struggling. They lost a couple in a row, but they beat a Mooney team that has a big strength of schedule in Division 3, 30-26. It was a defensive battle. Mineral Ridge pulls it out. That'll be a big win for the Rams when they talk about confidence going forward in the Division 3 district because Mooney might be a team that they have to run into in that Division 3 district. So actually, Mineral Ridge is Division 4, so ignore all that. But it's still a big confidence boost for the Rams as they were struggling a little bit the last couple of games. So they get a big win, and they'll look to propel that into the rest of their MVAC play. Boardman gets to win over Warren Harding 52-40. They are still unbeaten in the AAC, which means they are still setting up that big matchup with the Cardinals next Wednesday, which will be for first place in the AAC because neither team has another conference battle before that. So that should be the matchup of two undefeated teams in the conference play. So that both teams take care of business last night and get it done. Fitch, we've talked about them a lot the last couple of days and their improvement and their turnaround. They gave everything they had on the road against Massillon Washington, a very good Massillon Washington team, but they fell by 3, 55-52. And I will say that last year's Washington team compared to this year's, very different. We saw Massillon Washington come to Fitch last year. It was the only game I got to call at Fitch last year, and it was lopsided. Massillon Washington just wasn't there yet, wasn't there as a program yet. You could tell they had a couple of talented players, but it just the cohesivity wasn't there. Cohesivity, is that a word? It's cohesive. I don't know. The cohesiveness, I guess you would say, wasn't there for Massillon Washington this year, though they've put it together a little bit more. They're a very unified basketball team, and they get the win over Austintown Fitch. 55-52, your final score from Washington. Another team that is very high on the strength of schedule list is Louisville. They have the 20th hardest schedule in Division 1, which is saying something because a lot of Division 1 teams play a lot of tough schedules. But Louisville continued that tough schedule. Last night, they fell to Glen Oak on the road, 51-46. It's a tough loss for Louisville. They're 7-5 now, and at what point? I mean, they're still. I believe they're still one of the best teams in the YSN family. But you look at the power rankings this week, and it's like, how long? Let's pop them up for you real quick. Okay. You look at Louisville, they're 3, and it's like, okay, they're 7-5. At what point do you have to say strength of schedule, cool, but maybe you don't belong in the top 5. I don't know. We'll see how the voters go. I would still put them in the top 5, but they might fall out of that top 3 after the loss to Glen Oak. It's hard. You don't want to penalize the team for going and playing on the road against Canton Glen Oak, which is one of the best teams in the state of Ohio. But at the same time, losses are losses, right? They count every match a bit. So we'll see how the voters take that, and we'll see how the Leopards can handle the next week of the power rankings. But a very interesting conversation when you're trying to judge Louisville and trying to judge where they fit into the scheme of, how good everyone is in the Ysn family. Obviously, they beat Salem, so that they don't have a lot of games against teams that are on this list because of their independent schedule. But the game that they do have against someone on this list, they've won. And you always give I think our voters give a little bit more credit to the teams that beat teams that are in the Ysn family because it's more of a familiar win, right? So it's okay, we know how good that team is. So when they beat them, then that looks really good. But then it's like, okay, they lost to Canton Glen Oak. How much do we know about them? They're not a Ysn team. We don't see them too often. People say they're really good, but do we know how really good they are? So it'll be interesting to see how our voters handle games like that with the rest of Louisville's schedule, which is it's full of teams like that. It's full of games against really good teams that aren't Ysn teams that we don't see a lot. So how do you judge them? How do our voters judge them based on that schedule? We'll have to see going forward. But they do get the loss last night, 51-46 on the road to Glen Oak. Those are your final scores from last night. I think I got them all. Let me double check. Nope. Shout out to Warren JFK. They got the tough loss by 2 points to Southeast and a heartbreaker for them. And East Palestine also big win on the road again. Big win at home, I should say, against Heartland Christian, 52-26. The Bulldogs get the big win for the Palestine program as well. So those are your final scores from last night. And we will take a break. When we get back, we'll get ready for Kate Sully from Canfield joining the show at 1:30. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig with you, and we are going to be joined by a very talented senior out of Canfield. It is going to be Kate Solly from Canfield. Kate, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right, so here you are, senior season. This Canfield team has been through a lot since you were a freshman. What do you think has been the main memories and the lessons that you've learned over the last 4 years?
Over the last few years, I feel like I've learned the most about like working with like your team and like just developing team skills. And like I feel like over the years, it's really helped me to like gain more confidence in myself. So yeah.
And it all culminates in this great senior class that you guys have, which is one of the big reasons why you're so successful this year. What's it like leading this team with the group of girls that you call seniors and you call classmates? And how special is it to lead this team this year?
Oh, yeah, it's so special. I mean, I've been playing with all those girls since we were like in 5th grade. So it's just awesome to be able to like be proud of like the result that we're having right now during the season, like being like 11-1 and like just like, yeah, having like a positive season so far. So it's been awesome.
Did you guys kind of get together before the season started and kind of have like the rah moment where like, this is our last ride, we got to put it together this year, we got to do something special this year?
Yeah, I actually remember like we were like getting our practice jerseys for like the last time. We were like, guys, like let's do this thing. We can do it. Like we just gotta like come together as a team and like we lead these like the rest of our team and like we'll be okay.
What kind of leadership responsibilities have you put on yourself this year to really lead this team as a senior?
I mean, yeah, like last year we had like 5 graduating seniors, so they were definitely more in like the leadership role. So this year it's been like really new for me to like be in that new role, and I've loved every second of it. I mean, like all of my teammates, like they're all amazing. They're all like willing to like listen to us when we give them like corrections and stuff, and it's just been really nice.
And one of the great things is I feel like all the seniors lead in different ways, and you all have different attributes. What do you think your leadership attributes are? How would you define yourself as a leader?
Define myself as a leader, I would say like I mean obviously not just me but like all of us. Like I feel like I just like really love like bringing the team to like together, and like if we're like down in a game or something, just like making sure like everybody keeps their head up high and like we're all still talking to each other on defense and like we're not giving up and like that kind of thing.
We were talking about it earlier. Canfield right now has the 3rd hardest schedule in the state in Division II, according to Martin RPI. I mean, it's right there on your schedule. You know how tough the teams are that you play. What's it been like going through that and getting through it so far with an 11-1 record?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging, but I wouldn't change it for anything. I mean, I feel like playing this schedule now is going to prepare us for tournament later. So I really enjoy playing the more difficult teams now, and then it'll be easier later in the tournament.
Yeah, we all talked about it with Coach Real. I mean, you've been the smallest team in Division I for so long, and now you're finally Division II. Does that give you guys a little added bonus too, knowing that you're not in Division One anymore, and you might have a little bit more of a competitive balance scale, when tournament time starts?
Yeah, it was definitely to like be able to go down to D2. I mean, obviously teams are just as good as like D1, and we're still gonna have to compete really well to like be able to get far. But it was definitely a game changer for us.
All right, so here you are, senior season. What is the most like best memory you've had so far of your senior season?
Honestly, ever since Camp Huggins, and this year it was probably the best year we've ever had. Like just the team bonding that we get from Huggins is amazing. Like we always make good memories, and it's just always really fun.
Those trips always bring you guys closer together as a team. What do you think is one thing about this year that brought you guys closer than ever?
I feel like going into the season, we weren't sure how good we were going to be because we lost so many seniors and like 4 of them started. So we were just like really unsure of how like competitive we were going to be as a team. And like over the summer and still now, we're still trying to like prove to ourselves that we can compete with like the best teams around. So yeah, that's what I think.
And here we are talking about the senior class, but man, there's a lot of young girls on this team that contribute as well, and it's a good mix. How have you seen the younger girls develop this year, and how cool is it to see the mix of senior leadership and young girls that will build this future, after you guys graduate?
Yeah, our team's definitely an experience. Like, like Macy Klein, Kayla Doe, Jenna Jaberry, Ritz, everybody, like they've all just stepped up so tremendously and really like filled their spot, even though they haven't had as much experience in the past. And so it's just really great that they are able to do that for us and our team and make us better.
Anyone that plays you guys know that you guys can shoot. I mean, last night, first 12 points came from behind the arc. What's that like having so many players on the floor that can all shoot the three and you can get the ball to whoever you need to as a distributor?
Oh yeah, I mean it's my favorite part of the game. I love just driving in, and whenever I need somebody to kick out to, like I know like they have the confidence and they're gonna make it, and so it's just great to have a bunch of shooters out on the arc that I can pass to, and I can make a shot.
And you can shoot too, but we've noticed that you're more of a driver. You like to drive into the lane, get some contact. What's that like being a driver on a team full of shooters? And obviously 3-pointers get more of the oohs and the ahs, but you're doing some work in the paint too.
I mean, yeah, like once again, obviously it's super nice to be able to like Abby Milkroyd, Carly Harmon, Kim I mean, everybody on our team can really shoot really well. So it's awesome just to be able to like have that confidence within our team that we know like we will have a good shooting night.
Let's talk about Coach Real. Obviously, you've been under him for 4 years as a basketball player. What's he bring to this program, and what's he meant to you over the last 4 years of your career?
Oh yeah, he's awesome. I mean, he's taught me so much from freshman year. Like without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. And Coach Pav and Coach Crystal, like they're all amazing, and like they just push us every day at practice to make us better. And I can be better coach.
And we know that he's also a teacher in the school district. So,
Yeah.
have you had him as a teacher, and two, how much of a difference is he as a teacher as he is a coach?
I actually have him next semester, so I'll find out. I guess.
I'll find out.
But yeah, I'll find out.
All right, so we'll have to get you back on and have you answer that question. Talking about teachers and the school, what are some of your favorite subjects that you've had in your career, and what are some of your favorite things to learn about?
This is gonna sound random, but I actually took a guitar class this semester, and it was definitely my favorite class in high school. Like it was just like really fun to like be able to be with my friends and like learn how to play a new instrument. So that was really cool.
Was it strictly guitar, or was it all instruments?
Yeah, it was strictly guitar.
So was it the first time you picked up a guitar?
Yeah, it was.
How's that going? Like, well, actually, you're probably done with it by now, aren't you?
Yeah, I have my final for it tomorrow, but it's been an awesome ride, and we've all just improved a lot, so it's been really fun.
How much do you think you've learned in the semester?
Oh, a ton. I mean, I want to be able to being able to play anything, to be able to play like look mine and start playing it. So it's been awesome.
When you took it, what was like is there one guitar song or one song with a guitar solo that like would be your dream to learn how to play?
I haven't really thought about that, but like the song Thunder, like the beginning of it, like probably that part would be pretty cool to learn. I mean, it sounds really difficult, but
obviously with taking that, you have to have a little bit of a like for music. What's your playlist look like? Your personal playlist, whether it be before a game or just in your normal life?
My playlist is kind of all over the place. I mean, I'm a country girl. I like country a lot. But usually before games, I actually listen to Lizzo. Yeah.
What's one song, no matter what the situation is, no matter what your mood is, could always get you ready to go for a game?
Yeah, before every game, I always listen to the song Juice by Lizzo. It gets me pumped up.
All right. What about like the gym playlist? Are you a fan of it, or do you put your own headphones in and get your own tunes in there?
No, we all listen to the gym playlist when we're warming up. Yeah.
Who's in charge of that? Because I know every team has one person that's the designated DJ. So who's in charge of the playlist?
I'm actually not. I think it's either Emmy Rubin or Abby Muck, or we use the one from last year. I'm actually not sure. But in the locker room, it's Abby Muck who's got the speaker.
All right, whoever it is, they're doing a great job. When you look at this team and you think of some of the personalities on this team, who do you think is like the teammate with the most swag or the most style?
Oh, 100% Candy Ritz. She always has the flag. She's always 100% Ritz.
Now, who's someone on the team that thinks they're that, but they don't have a lot of style?
Oh my god, nobody. Everybody has good style.
All right. It's a very good answer. Not getting you in trouble. What about like the comedian? Who's the funniest person on the team?
I probably have to go with Candy Ritz again. Either Candy Ritz or Cece Muckeroy. She's a freshman. She's hilarious. Yeah.
All right. If you guys had to get out of somewhere quick and you needed a getaway driver, who would be the go-to teammate for that?
Go-to getaway driver. I go with Macy Kalina. She's very dependable, and I trust her to do.
All right. Who's the worst driver? Who can't drive on the team?
Me. I can't drive.
I want to give you a chance to also talk about your family a little bit. You know, what kind of things make your family unique? I know every family has something. So what is it about your family that you love so much and makes you guys kind of a unique group of people?
Well, I'm actually one of 4 girls, and I have a twin sister, Maddie. So my dad is just full of house of girls. That makes us kind of unique, I guess. But yeah, we're just all very supportive of each other, and we all love each other a lot. So.
I mean, not everyone gets the opportunity to have a twin. So what's that dynamic like, and what's it like to have a twin?
Her and I, like, we're complete opposite. She's a dancer and like that kind of thing, and I'm like more of the athlete basketball player, obviously. So it's just really nice to have her around all the time, and like since we don't do the same stuff, like it's nice to like have the separation, but also like be together at the end of the day.
When you think about some of the ways that your family supports you, and obviously they're at all the games, what makes that so special to you? The fact that you have the support of your family.
Oh yeah, my parents have been so supportive. Whether like my dad like filling up Gatorades for like our fridge in the locker room, just getting Gatorades for us, or just like sending me like text before our games, like good luck or whatever. It means a lot.
All right, so obviously you guys have had a great start to the season. You're 11-1, but it is a new year. We're in the second week of 2023. So what are some New Year's resolutions for the Canfield girls basketball team?
Last week, actually, we've been working a lot on rebounding and like just like physical like toughness. So I think that's one thing that we really need to improve on moving forward. Just like diving on the floor for loose balls and that kind of stuff.
Senior night's coming up quick, and you've had the chance to see a lot of senior nights and be there for seniors that were going through it, but now it's your turn. What are you expecting out of that? How do you think emotionally you're going to handle the senior night?
I know I'm just going to cry my eyes out. I just know it. I mean, I could cry probably just thinking about it right now. It's just really sad, but yeah.
You know, one of the great things about senior night are how all the underclassmen, you know, get the gifts and sometimes they can get really creative with it. What kind of things have you gotten the seniors of the past to send them off and give them a good sign of your appreciation of what they've been able to do?
Yeah, I mean, senior year every year is great. Last year we had like a superhero theme, so we bought all the seniors like their own capes and stuff, and like we put all over the locker room, like decorated with streamers, had a disco ball and stuff. So it's always special every year.
All right, now I'm going to help out the underclassmen a little bit with what to get you. Like, what's the one thing that would be an awesome gift for you if someone were to get it on senior night?
Honestly, probably just like candy, Twix, Kit Kat. Yeah.
When you think about, since we're talking about candy and one of the great parts of basketball is, of course, the snack bags on the road. What parent brings the best snack bag?
We actually haven't had too many away games so far this season, but yesterday we got That's a Wrap pepperoni rolls, and they are pretty good.
What's one thing in a snack bag? Like if this is in the snack bag, it's great for you.
Fruit snacks.
Is there are you brand picky or is it any kind of fruit snacks? Doesn't matter. Like give me the fruit.
Yeah, I'm not too picky.
What about like Gatorade? What's your favorite flavor of Gatorade?
Probably either white or yeah.
All right, so if Gatorade came to you and said, "We want Kate Sully to make our own flavor of Gatorade, maybe one that we don't have yet that you think would be cool," what do you think you'd come up with?
I don't know. Maybe I like watermelon. It's like a watermelon like kiwi kind of mix. Maybe I don't know if they have that or not, but that sounds cool.
If they don't, they're gonna have it now. Kate, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to shout out the people that do support you and all the people that have your back and that have had your back throughout your career.
Oh yeah, shout out to my whole family, my parents, my sisters, my grandparents. Shout out to all of my teammates for always being there for me. Shout out to Addie Dome, Kieran Kane for always rebounding for the balls for us before games and being for us. And yeah.
All right, Kate, thank you so much again for joining us. It was great to have you. Great to hear from you. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the season, and we'll talk again real soon.
Thank you so much.
Kate Sully from Canfield, one of their senior leaders, joining us on Running Point. Got a great chance to talk with her. And, man, that Canfield team we talked about at the top, 11-1 in the season, the third hardest schedule in the state of Ohio. And their biggest test is coming up next week so far, as they'll match up with Boardman in a matchup for the AAC, first place in the AAC next Wednesday. It'll be a rescheduled matchup. It'll be at Boardman. That game was originally supposed to be scheduled last week, but with obviously the loss of Coach Michella, Boardman took some time to grieve that, and they canceled that game and postponed it. It'll be next Wednesday, the 18th, at Boardman, and then the game at Canfield, not too far off. So if whoever loses that game, you don't have too long before you get a redemption try the next time around. So it should be a fun rest of the season. The AAC, I still don't count out Howland and Fitch for the second time you have to play them either. To be honest with you, the way those two teams are starting to put together, especially the way that Fitch is trending right now, it should be a really interesting second half of the AAC as we once again gear towards the end of January and get into that February calendar. It's going to be fun. Here are the games that will be on the network tonight. We got some big matchups in the MVAC. Crestview will be at Liberty. The Rebels who need to keep pace, right? A lot of teams with that one loss, and we knew they were gonna bump into each other. Crestview and Liberty are two teams right now that are in that log jam of four of the MVAC. Four teams with one loss, with Garfield, Brookfield, Crestview, and Liberty, all with one loss on the year. So this will clear it up a little bit. It'll clear up the waters a little bit. Crestview at Liberty. So we'll see how that goes. And Campbell Memorial will travel to Brookfield, who just got that big win over Garfield on Monday. They'll look to keep pace and keep that one-loss record going. Hubbard will be at South Range. By the way, here are the announcers that'll be on that. I forgot to shout that out. Alec Caberna will be in Liberty for Crestview versus Liberty at 6 o'clock. 6:15 in Brookfield. It'll be Matt Morrison on the call down there. And then Hubbard will travel to South Range. The Raiders are looking for a little bit of a bounce back. They've had two tough losses against two of the top-tier teams in the NE8. They had the 10-point loss to Girard and the 5-point loss to Struthers. So they're looking to put together something to bounce back a little bit as they'll start the second half of NE8 play against Hubbard at home. I'll be there. First time these two teams squared off, South Range trailed for most of the game and had to have a really good third quarter to, I believe, win by 2 points. So it was definitely a thriller in Hubbard the first time they played. We'll see what happens this time. Hubbard's coming off one of their best offensive outputs of the year over on Monday against Jefferson. They won 47-40. So maybe Hubbard's starting to put together some offense. They'll try to take that in the South Range, and it should be a fun one in the NE8 there in the Thriller Dome. I'll be there at 7 o'clock. Also at 7 o'clock, Latonia at Wellsville. This one will be video only, but will be covered on the network, so you can watch it for free. Lowville travels to Waterloo at 7 o'clock. Ty Bartell will be on the call in Atwater as Waterloo tries to bounce back from their loss against Springfield, and they're one of those teams now They have to keep pace. They have a second matchup with Springfield later on the season. If they can keep pace in that MVAC, then they can square up that second matchup and have it be for first place in the conference. So Waterloo's got to take care of business tonight as the Rockets come to town. 7 o'clock is your tip-off time. Niles will travel to Lakeview. Our Lakeview crew has that one locked down for you. Poland will start their second half of the NE8 play at Girard. I think Girard wants a little bit of redemption. I don't think they feel like they played their best game when they played at Poland. It was one that really got away from them, but they played good against Struthers. They beat South Range. I think they feel like they can be really competitive against Poland, and they want to prove that tonight at home. So it'll be a tough one for the Bulldogs to start that second round of the NE8. And with Struthers right on Poland's heels with one loss, and it was a very tough, heartbreaking loss to Poland at Poland. So Struthers is at their heels, and Poland can't slip up really. So a lot of pressure on the Bulldogs to win tonight at Girard. Should be a fun one. CH the Triplet starting to put together a really good season and find her groove. 7 o'clock is the tip-off, and Ian O'Brien will be in Girard for that one. Southern will travel to Columbiana tonight. Ashley Schroeds coming off a triple-double for the Indians on Monday. She had 32 points, 10 rebounds, 10 steals. So she'll try to replicate those results and get her team a win at Columbiana. Both teams coming off a win. Joe Eusebio will be on the call in the Clipper Dome. United will travel to Valley Christian. Noah Doty will be on the call there. 7 o'clock is your first tip. I love Valley Christian. I love being there. My first chance to call a game there this year earlier with their girls against East Palestine. What a great venue. Like, I had never been there before. I was blown away. I love the little setup they have. It's a small gym, but they've run with it. They have like a Eagles Cafe at the top with little bar stools, I guess you could call it, that you could sit and have a snack and have the bird's eye view of a perfect angle to watch basketball while you're eating a snack from the cafe. It was a really fun place to watch a basketball game. Noah Doty's going to have a treat tonight as he goes to Valley Christian and has that one. East Palestine will be at Lisbon. That one will be on the network, but video only. Some other games that are happening won't be on the network, unfortunately, but you can still go out and support. Western Reserve will be at Sebring. That'll be a 6 o'clock tip-off. Western Reserve, a team that's still alive in the MVAC. They're trying to keep pace and hoping that some teams can give them some help. But when you have Brooke Shantz and you have Lisa Eichert, and especially what Ramsey is putting together, Kylie Ramsey is putting together, she had a huge game in their matchup against McDonald on Friday night. So she's starting to score. Western Reserve starting to get confidence as an offense. They're always a good defense. So they're a team to watch out for in the second half of the MVAC. Beaver Local will be at Edison. That's a 7 o'clock tip for you. Champion travels to Newton Falls at 7 o'clock. Garfield goes to LaBrea at 7 o'clock. Garfield, another team like Brookfield, Crestview, and Liberty, all trying to keep pace with one loss in the MVAC. It'll be interesting to see what team puts their best foot forward. Springfield will be at McDonald. That'll be a 7 o'clock tip. And then last but not least, Struthers will be at Jefferson tonight. 7 o'clock tip in the NE8 as Struthers, like so many teams, trying to keep pace with one loss, one game back in their conference. A lot of pressure on Struthers to win these games so they can have their second matchup with Poland, and it can be the one that would be for first place in the NE8. We will have swimming on the network tonight as well. East Lake North versus Orange in the pool. 6 o'clock is your start time for that. The Orange School will have that one taken care of. So we'll have a swim meet for you tonight as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 basketball games, one swim meet, all on the network tonight. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find it. If you're not unable to go out and support these athletes, make sure you go on to our website and watch. Everything is for free. You just click the link that is the game that you want. Scroll past the sponsors and hit that video window, hit the play button, and you're good to go. Completely free thanks to our wonderful sponsors. That'll do it for Running Point today. We wish you the best of luck tonight to all our athletes that are going out there and playing. We hope everyone, first and foremost, stays healthy. And then we'll talk about the results tomorrow on Running Point. Ty Bartell making his return to the show. He was unable to come on with us on Monday, but he'll be back with us tomorrow as well. 1 to 2, going to be a fun time. Power Hour coming up next. Well, I should say in about an hour. It starts at 3. It'll be from 3 to 4 with the Power Hour with DJ Yoakley. And then we'll have a bunch of games tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2 to recap it all with Ty Bartell. Don't miss a minute of the action. Thank you so much for tuning in today on Running Point. Brought to you by Green